Hollywood's golden age, glittering premieres, adoring fans, and timeless films. Beneath the sparkle, though, simmered egos, betrayals, and shocking scandals. Today we uncover the 20 most notorious figures who tainted Tinseltown's glamour with their deplorable behavior. From abusive stars to manipulative directors, their stories still stun us decades later. These are tales of talent twisted by arrogance, cruelty, and chaos. Stay with us to the end for the most jaw-dropping scandal of all, a story that redefined Hollywood's dark side. William Frolley. In the cozy living room of I Love Lucy, William Frawley's Fred Mertz charmed millions with his curmudgeonly wit. Off-screen, however, Frawley's temper burned hotter than a summer in Havana. Born in 1887, he was a seasoned vaudevillian by the time he landed his iconic role, but his prickly demeanor left a trail of tension. Co-star Vivian Vance, who played Ethel, bore the brunt of his ire. Frolley reportedly hurled insults at her, mocking her appearance and talent, creating a rift that never healed. Their on-screen chemistry was a testament to their professionalism, masking a feud that simmered through every episode. Frawley's bitterness wasn't limited to Vance. His alcoholism fueled erratic outbursts, clashing with producers and crew. A 1933 Oscar loss to Frederick March by a single vote pushed him to a public tantrum, cementing his reputation as a sore loser. The Academy, embarrassed, declared a tie, a rare move that barely soothed his ego. Reddit threads recount his sulking at awards ceremonies, a man unable to hide his resentment. Yet, Frawley's talent was undeniable. His gruff charm elevated I Love Lucy into a cultural juggernaut, proving that brilliance and bad behavior often coexist. Reflecting on his legacy, one wonders if his anger stemmed from a life of hard knocks, or a heart hardened by Hollywood's grind. His story reminds us that even beloved icons carry shadows. Milton Burl, dubbed Mr. Television, ruled 1950s airwaves with his Texaco Star Theater, a comedic empire built on slapstick and swagger. Beneath the laughter, however, lurked an ego that dwarfed his oversized cigars. Burl's peers whispered of his habit of stealing jokes, a sin in comedy's tight-knit world. At the Dean Martin celebrity roasts, colleagues like Don Rickles jabbed at his arrogance, their barbs laced with truth. Burl's need to dominate every stage left co-stars like Lucille Ball fuming, their collaboration strained by his relentless upstaging. Born in 1908, Burl's hunger for the spotlight was forged in vaudeville's cutthroat circuits. Success only amplified his self-absorption. He once bragged about rewriting entire scripts to favor his role, alienating writers and directors. Yet, his charisma was magnetic, drawing audiences even as he repelled peers. Reflecting on Burl's legacy, his comedy revolutionized television, paving the way for modern variety shows. But at what cost? His story asks us to weigh talent against temperament, wondering if his laughter was worth the resentment he sowed. Burl's life, a blend of brilliance and bravado, remains a cautionary tale of ego unchecked. Frank Faye. Long before Hollywood's bright lights, Frank Faye commanded vaudeville stages with a silver tongue and a sinister streak. Born in 1891, Faye's sharp wit briefly made him a Broadway star, but his cruelty eclipsed his fame. His marriage to Barbara Stanwyck, a rising actress, became a battleground. Stanwyck's biographies detail Faye's verbal abuse, belittling her talent, and even physical altercations that left her bruised. His jealousy of her success poisoned their union, ending in a bitter 1935 divorce. Faye's venom extended beyond the home. His anti-Semitic rants alienated colleagues, and his abrasive demeanor sabotaged roles. By the 1940s, Hollywood shunned him, his name fading while Stanwyck soared. Faye's downfall was self-inflicted, a man undone by his own malice. Reflecting on his obscurity, one sees a stark lesson. Talent means little without decency. Faye's story, buried in the margins of Hollywood history, serves as a reminder that cruelty leaves no lasting legacy, only echoes of regret. Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock's name evokes cinematic mastery, Psycho's chilling shower scene, Vertigo's dizzying obsession. Born in 1899, he sculpted suspense like a sculptor with clay, but his methods cast a shadow. Tippi Hedren, star of The Birds, revealed in her memoir a director obsessed with control. Hitchcock's fixation on her bordered on harassment, dictating her wardrobe, isolating her on set, and orchestrating grueling shoots that left her traumatized. His blondes as victims philosophy, seen in stars like Grace Kelly, hinted at a troubling psyche. Hitchcock's genius was undeniable. His innovative camera work and storytelling redefined thrillers, earning him the title Master of Suspense. Yet, his manipulation of actors raises questions. Was his art worth the pain he inflicted? Reflecting on his legacy, Hitchcock's films endure as masterpieces, but his treatment of stars like Hedron stains his brilliance. His story challenges us to separate the artist from the act, pondering whether genius justifies cruelty in the pursuit of perfection. Rudy Valley. On a crisp 1930s evening, Rudy Valley's velvety voice floated through radios, captivating America as the star of The Vagabond Lover. Born in 1901, Valley was a crooner whose charm masked a chilling cruelty. Los Angeles Times archives recount his controlling nature, demanding absolute obedience from co-stars and lovers. One radio set incident saw him berate a sound engineer over a minor glitch, his tirade halting production for hours. Actresses whispered of his dismissive attitude, treating them as props rather than peers. Valley's public adored his romantic ballads, but his private life was starkly unromantic. His marriages crumbled under his domineering ways, and his career waned as rivals like Bing Crosby outshone him. Reflecting on Valley's fade from stardom, one sees a man whose talent couldn't outrun his temperament. His story asks if charisma can ever excuse a heart that leaves others in its wake, a crooner whose legacy is more cautionary than celebrated. Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball's radiant smile in I Love, Lucy transformed television, her comedic genius a beacon of joy. Born in 1911 in Jamestown, New York, Ball's journey from B-movie actress to Hollywood's first major female producer was a triumph of grit. Yet, beneath her effervescent persona lay a relentless drive that sometimes veered into tyranny. Her perfectionism, while revolutionary, cast shadows on the set. Co-star Vivian Vance, who played Ethel Mertz, often faced Ball's sharp critiques. According to Vance's interviews, Ball's insistence on flawless timing led to tense rehearsals, with pointed remarks about Vance's delivery straining their off-screen bond. William Frolley, as Fred Mertz, also clashed with Ball, his gruff demeanor meeting her unyielding standards in fiery exchanges. Ball's role as a producer at Desilu Studios, a rarity for women in the 1950s, demanded absolute control. She scrutinized scripts, oversaw casting, and enforced discipline, creating a high-pressure environment. Crew members, quoted in Desilu histories, described her as a leader who inspired awe, but also fear. Her expectations leaving little room for error. Her insistence on loyalty meant dissenters risked exclusion, a tactic that ensured efficiency but alienated some. Yet, Ball's vision reshaped the industry. She pioneered the three-camera sitcom format and championed shows like Star Trek, breaking barriers for women and minorities. Charlie Chaplin. Step into a 1920s courtroom where whispers of scandal surround Charlie Chaplin, the silent film maestro whose tramp charmed the globe. Born in 1889 in London's slums, Chaplin's rise to Hollywood royalty was a masterclass in artistry. His films, like Modern Times, blended humor with social commentary, earning adoration. Yet, his personal life played a discordant note. At 35, Chaplin married 16-year-old Lita Gray, a co-star in The Kid. Gray's memoirs detail a coerced union, with Chaplin impregnating her before their 1924 vows, sparking public outrage. Their 1927 divorce, rife with accusations of infidelity and manipulation, exposed his pattern of pursuing young women, including a rumored affair with actress Edna Purviance. Chaplin's troubles extended beyond romance. His leftist sympathies, evident in films critiquing capitalism, drew FBI scrutiny during the Red Scare. J. Edgar Hoover's files, now declassified, reveal surveillance that culminated in Chaplin's 1952 exile from America, his re-entry barred until 1972. His defiance, refusing to renounce his beliefs, cemented his outsider status. Yet, his cinematic legacy endured, with City Lights still hailed as a masterpiece. Reflecting on Chaplin's story, one grapples with a man whose genius illuminated screens, but whose choices darkened lives. Did his art, born of a turbulent soul, justify the pain he caused? Or does his pursuit of young women, cloaked in power, demand accountability? Chaplin's life, a silent symphony of laughter and scandal, asks us to separate the creator from the creation. His exile, a punishment for both politics and personal failings, underscores Hollywood's intolerance for nonconformity. Steve McQueen. Engine scream and bullets legendary car chase. Steve McQueen's coolness a cinematic wildfire. Born in 1930 in Beech Grove, Indiana, McQueen's rugged charm defined the 1960s anti-hero, his roles in The Great Escape and the Thomas Crown Affair exuding defiance. Yet, his off-screen life roared with chaos. His marriage to Ally McGraw, star of The Getaway, crumbled amid allegations of physical abuse, detailed in McGraw's memoir. She described McQueen's jealousy and volatility, a stark contrast to his suave persona. His first wife, Neil Adams, also recounted controlling behavior, painting a pattern of turmoil. On set, McQueen's paranoia fueled feuds. Directors like Sam Peckinpah, during The Getaway, battled his demands for script rewrites to favor his character, as noted in Peckinpah's biographies. Co-stars, including Yul Brynner in The Magnificent Seven, bristled at his scene-stealing antics, his need to dominate palpable. McQueen's troubled childhood, abandoned by his father, shuffled through reform schools, may have shaped his insecurity, a theory explored in Robert Matson's biography. His philanthropy, supporting boys' homes, hinted at a desire for redemption, but his darker impulses prevailed. Reflecting on McQueen's legacy, one sees a man whose charisma masked a restless soul. His films remain iconic, their raw energy a testament to his talent. But was his coolness a facade for deeper wounds? His story, a high-octane ride of triumph and tragedy, asks if stardom amplifies flaws or merely exposes them. McQueen's life, a reckless road of brilliance and brutality, reminds us that even Hollywood's rebels pay a price for their defiance, leaving us to ponder the cost of living life in the fast lane. Lita Gray. In 1927, Hollywood's gossip mills churned as Lita Gray, Charlie Chaplin's young bride, filed for divorce, her accusations igniting a firestorm. Born in 1908 in Hollywood, Gray was a precocious actress cast in Chaplin's The Kid at 12. By 16, she was pregnant and married to the 35-year-old star, a union detailed in her memoirs as coerced by Chaplin's team to avoid scandal. Court records from their divorce reveal Gray's claims of emotional neglect and infidelity, accusing Chaplin of affairs with actresses like Myrna Kennedy. Yet, industry insiders, quoted in Vanity Fair, suggested Gray amplified her grievances, leveraging the split to secure a hefty settlement and fleeting fame. Gray's post-divorce career faltered. Minor roles in films like The Devil's Sleep couldn't sustain her, and by the 1930s she faded into obscurity. Her public attacks on Chaplin, including interviews branding him a predator, kept her name alive but alienated potential allies. Was Gray a victim of Hollywood's power dynamics, manipulated by a mogul? Or did she seize the scandal as a calculated bid for agency in a ruthless industry? Reflecting on her story, one sees a young woman navigating a world that offered fame but demanded sacrifice. Her accusations, though partly corroborated by Chaplin's later relationships, carried a whiff of opportunism, complicating her narrative. Gray's tale, a footnote in Hollywood's saga, illuminates the era's predatory undercurrents, where young actresses were both prized and pawns. Her life, a brief flare of notoriety, asks us to consider the blurred line between victim and strategist. Did she exploit Chaplin's sins, or was she merely surviving a system stacked against her? Gray's story, a tangled web of ambition and exploitation, reminds us that truth in Hollywood often lies in the spaces between headlines, a legacy defined by what was said and what was silenced. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn's daring leap in the adventures of Robin Hood made him Hollywood's swashbuckling king, his grin a promise of adventure. Born in 1909 in Tasmania, Flynn's charisma electrified 1930s audiences. His roles in Captain Blood and the Seahawk defining heroic flair. Yet, his life was a ship adrift in stormy seas. In 1942, a statutory rape trial, detailed in David Niven's memoir, The Moon's a Balloon, accused Flynn of illicit relations with two underage girls. Acquitted amid fan fervor, the trial exposed his hedonistic lifestyle, fueled by alcohol and opium, as chronicled in his autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways. Flynn's romances, including with Olivia de Havilland, soured under his reckless charm, her diaries hinting at frustration with his unreliability. His friendships, like with John Barrymore, dissolved in drunken brawls, as reported in Los Angeles Times archives. By the 1950s, Flynn's health and career plummeted, his once vibrant presence a ghost in films like The Sun Also Rises. Dead at 50, his decline was a tragedy of excess. Reflecting on Flynn's legacy, one sees a man whose on-screen valor clashed with off-screen vice. His films remain treasures, but his sins demand reckoning. Was his charisma a gift that blinded us to his flaws, or a curse that doomed him? Flynn's story, a swashbuckler saga gone awry, asks if heroism is merely a mask for human frailty. His trial, a flashpoint in Hollywood's moral reckoning, revealed an industry complicit in shielding its stars. His life, a voyage of triumph and ruin, reminds us that even legends sail toward their own destruction, leaving us to navigate the wreckage of their myth. Pondering the cost of idolizing the flawed, Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas's chiseled jaw and fiery eyes in Spartacus embodied a warrior's resolve, his presence commanding the screen. Born Isser Danielovich. In 1916 in Amsterdam, New York, Douglas rose from poverty to become a Hollywood titan. His roles in Paths of Glory and The Bad and the Beautiful showcasing raw intensity. Yet, his off-screen demeanor matched his on-screen ferocity. Biographies, including his own The Ragman's Son, reveal a man whose ambition fueled tempestuous relationships. His marriage to Ann Bidens endured, but affairs with actresses like Patricia Neal, documented in Neal's memoirs, strained their bond, revealing a reckless streak beneath his disciplined facade. On set, Douglas's need for control sparked clashes. Directors like Stanley Kubrick, during Spartacus, faced his demands for creative input, as noted in Kubrick's interviews. Co-stars, including Burt Lancaster, bristled at his domineering presence, their rivalry on Gunfight at the OK Corral palpable. Douglas's defiance of the Hollywood blacklist, insisting on crediting blacklisted writer Dalton Trumbo for Spartacus, was a courageous stand, earning respect. Yet, his temper often overshadowed such acts. Crew members, quoted in Hollywood Reporter archives, described him as intimidating, his outbursts halting production. His childhood, marked by an abusive father and anti-Semitic taunts, may have forged this intensity, a theory explored in A. Scott Berg's biography. Douglas's legacy is a paradox, a star whose grit broke barriers but bruised egos. His films, spanning 6 decades, remain cinematic treasures. Yet his personal failings invite scrutiny. Was his fire a spark of genius or a destructive blaze? Reflecting on his story, one sees a man shaped by a harsh world, his strength both his salvation and his curse. Douglas's life, a battlefield of triumphs and tempests, asks if heroism can coexist with hubris, urging us to weigh his contributions against the scars he left in Hollywood's unforgiving arena. Lana Wood. Lana Wood's sultry allure as a Bond girl in Diamonds Are Forever captivated audiences. Her beauty a fleeting spotlight. Born in 1946 in Santa Monica, California, Lana lived in the towering shadow of her sister, Natalie Wood, a Hollywood icon. Their bond, once close, fractured after Natalie's mysterious 1981 drowning off Catalina Island. Lana's memoir, Natalie, a memoir by her sister, accused Natalie's husband, Robert Wagner, of negligence, igniting a media storm. Interviews in People magazine reveal Lana's insistence that Wagner knew more about the tragedy, her accusations fueling decades of speculation about foul play, though no charges were filed. Lana's public campaign strained family ties. Natalie's daughter, Natasha Gregson Wagner, defended Wagner, creating a rift that persists, as noted in recent Vanity Fair profiles. Lana's motives sparked debate. Was she seeking justice for her sister, or exploiting grief for relevance? Her career, limited to roles in Peyton Place and B-movies, never matched Natalie's, fostering envy, as suggested in Hollywood Reporter analyses. Her persistence in revisiting Natalie's death through books and interviews kept her name alive but alienated allies, her reputation as a provocateur overshadowing her acting. Reflecting on Lana's story, one sees a woman grappling with loss in a ruthless industry. Her accusations, unproven yet resonant, highlight Hollywood's obsession with scandal over truth. Was Lana a grieving sister or a fame chaser using Natalie's tragedy? Her life, a saga of loyalty and betrayal, underscores the cost of living in a sibling's shadow. Lana's tale asks us to consider how grief can twist love into obsession, leaving a legacy of questions that linger in Hollywood's murky waters. John Frankenheimer. John Frankenheimer's The Manchurian Candidate gripped audiences with its chilling paranoia, a testament to his visionary craft. Born in 1930 in Queens, New York, Frankenheimer redefined thrillers with films like 7 Days in May and Seconds, his meticulous style earning critical acclaim. Yet, his sets were arenas of control, where his perfectionism bordered on tyranny. Burt Lancaster, star of Birdman of Alcatraz, clashed with Frankenheimer over creative decisions, their disputes, detailed in Lancaster's biographies, halting production. Crew members, quoted in American. Cinematographer Archives described Frankenheimer's relentless demands, pushing actors like Frank Sinatra to exhaustion during The Manchurian Candidate's grueling shoots. Frankenheimer's military background, including service in the Air Force, shaped his disciplined approach, as explored in Stephen B. Armstrong's biography. He treated sets like battlefields, issuing orders with precision but little warmth. Actresses, including Angela Lansbury, noted his cold demeanor, prioritizing vision over collaboration. His later years, marked by flops like The Island of Dr. Moreau, saw his temper flare as his star dimmed, alienating younger talent. Yet, his early work revolutionized political cinema, influencing directors like Oliver Stone. Looking back on Frankenheimer's legacy, one sees a director whose brilliance came at a cost. His films, taut and timeless, reshaped genres, but his authoritarian style left scars. Was his discipline a necessary driver of art, or did it stifle the creativity he sought? His story, a portrait of control in a chaotic industry, asks us to weigh the price of perfection against the human toll, a reminder that even cinematic triumphs carry shadows of strife in Hollywood's relentless pursuit of excellence. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly's exuberant dance and Singin' in the Rain painted joy across cinema screens, his athletic grace redefining musicals. Born in 1912 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Kelly's choreography in An American in Paris and On the Town blended ballet with street swagger, earning him an honorary Oscar. Yet, his pursuit of perfection exacted a toll. Debbie Reynolds, his 19-year-old co-star in Singin' in the Rain, recounted in her memoir unsinkable, grueling rehearsals, where Kelly's critiques cut deep, leaving her feet bleeding and spirit bruised. His insistence on flawless execution pushed co-stars like Sid Charisse to their limits, as noted in TCM interviews, creating tension beneath his charming smile. Kelly's background as a dance teacher, running a studio in Pittsburgh, instilled a taskmaster's rigor, detailed in Cynthia Brideson's biography. He viewed sets as classrooms, demanding discipline from casts unaccustomed to his intensity. Donald O'Connor, in Singin' in the Rain, faced Kelly's frustration over missed steps. Their camaraderie strained, as O'Connor shared in later interviews. Off-set, Kelly's warmth won friends, but his professional demeanor was unyielding, alienating those who couldn't match his pace. His later career, directing films like Hello, Dolly, saw similar clashes, his vision clashing with studio demands. Reflecting on Kelly's legacy, one sees a man whose art transformed cinema, but whose methods left marks. His dances, vibrant and timeless, celebrate human spirit, yet his rigidity questions the cost of beauty. Was his harshness a catalyst for brilliance, or did it dim the joy he sought to create? Kelly's story, a choreography of genius and grit, invites us to ponder the balance between creation and compassion, a dance that echoes through Hollywood's storied past. Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones's steely resolve in The Fugitive cemented his place as a modern Hollywood titan. His gravitas unforgettable. Born in 1946 in San Saba, Texas, Jones's Oscar-winning role in The Fugitive and performances in No Country for Old Men bridged old Hollywood's grit with contemporary depth. Yet, his notorious grumpiness cast a shadow. Jim Carrey, co-star in Batman Forever, recounted in a 2017 Howard Stern interview Jones's blunt dismissal, calling Carrey's antics irritating, their scenes charged with tension. Crew members, quoted in Variety, described Jones as aloof, his stern demeanor creating a chilly set atmosphere. Jones's Texas roots and Harvard education, detailed in Rob Milam's biography, shaped a complex persona, intellectual yet unapproachable. His intensity, honed in roles like JFK, clashed with directors like Joel Schumacher, who noted Jones's reluctance to collaborate. His private life, guarded fiercely, hinted at a man protective of his inner world, perhaps scarred by early struggles in a small-town upbringing. Yet, his philanthropy, supporting Texas schools, suggests a softer side rarely seen. His later roles, like in Lincoln, earned praise, but stories of his curtness persisted, alienating younger actors like Ryan Gosling on In the Valley of Elah. Jones's story reveals a talent whose stoicism fueled art, but distanced peers. His performances, rich with nuance, captivate, yet his demeanor raises questions. Was his grumpiness a shield for a private soul, or an indulgence of ego? His life, a bridge between Hollywood's past and present, asks if brilliance excuses isolation, urging us to consider the human behind the icon, a man whose shadow looms as large as his legacy. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway's electric performance in Network earned her an Oscar, her intensity unmatched. Born in 1941, she was a star whose temper flared like a storm. On Chinatown, her feud with Roman Polanski became legend, their clashes erupting over creative control. Set reports describe Dunaway throwing objects at crew, her outbursts halting production. Dunaway's talent was seismic, but her volatility scarred her reputation. Reflecting on her legacy, one grapples with her paradox, a woman whose brilliance burned bright yet scorched those nearby. Her story, a tempest of art and anger, asks if passion can excuse the chaos it unleashes, a question that lingers in Hollywood's lore. Sean Connery. Sean Connery's commanding presence as James Bond in Dr. No redefined cinematic heroism, his Scottish grit electrifying audiences. Born in 1930 in Edinburgh, Connery's journey from a working-class background to global stardom was remarkable. Yet, his suave 007 persona concealed personal controversies. His first wife, Diane Cilento, detailed in her memoir, My 9 Lives, allegations of domestic abuse during their 1962 to 1973 marriage, claims that sparked heated debate. Connery's 1965 interview with Playboy, where he appeared to condone violence against women, fueled criticism, though he later clarified his stance. His dismissive attitude toward younger co-stars like Kim Basinger in Never Say Never Again was noted in set reports, revealing a gruff demeanor at odds with his charm. Connery's talent earned him an Oscar for The Untouchables, and his philanthropy, supporting Scottish education, showed a generous side. Yet, his personal failings linger in public memory. Reflecting on his story, one sees a man whose charisma captivated millions, but whose actions raised questions. Was his behavior a product of a tougher era, or a flaw that dims his legacy? Connery's life, a blend of heroism and controversy, asks us to weigh the allure of a screen icon against the shadows of his choices, a puzzle that persists in Hollywood's complex narrative. John Wayne. John Wayne's towering figure and true grit embodied the American frontier, his drawl a symbol of rugged individualism. Born Marion Morrison in 1907 in Winterset, Iowa, Wayne's career spanned over 170 films, his westerns like The Searchers shaping national identity. Yet, his outspoken views stirred division. A 1971 Playboy interview revealed his controversial stances on race and civil rights, defending segregationist policies as reflective of his time, statements that shocked fans and critics alike. On set, his authoritative presence, documented in Robert Matson's biography, intimidated co-stars like Montgomery Clift during Red River, his insistence on control creating tension. Wayne's patriotism inspired millions, but his politics alienated many. His support for the Vietnam War and conservative causes, detailed in John Wayne, American, contrasted with Hollywood's shifting values. Reflecting on his legacy, one grapples with a man whose heroism was both celebrated and questioned. Was Wayne a product of his era's biases, or a figure accountable for his words? His story, a clash of myth and morality, asks us to consider how icons reflect their times, leaving a legacy that challenges us to reconcile admiration with accountability in Hollywood's storied past. Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan's radiant charm in Sleepless in Seattle made her America's rom-com queen, her smile a beacon of warmth. Born in 1961 in Fairfield, Connecticut, Ryan's hits like When Harry Met Sally defined a genre, yet her personal life took a darker turn. Her 2000 affair with Russell Crowe during Proof of Life, reported in People magazine, ended her marriage to Dennis Quaid, a scandal that shattered her wholesome image. Tabloids detailed her on-set demands, with crew members on in the cut, describing her as aloof, her once charming persona replaced by a prickly demeanor that alienated colleagues. Ryan's career waned as audiences struggled to forgive her public missteps. Her shift to edgier roles failed to recapture her former glory, as noted in Variety reviews. Reflecting on her story, one sees a star whose mistakes eclipsed her magic. Was her downfall a result of personal choices? Or did Hollywood's unforgiving lens amplify her flaws? Ryan's Life, a rom-com turned tragedy, asks if public adoration can withstand private failings, a question that lingers as her starlight fades in Tinseltown's relentless spotlight. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery's hearty laugh in The Champ won hearts, his everyman appeal a cornerstone of early Hollywood. Born in 1885 in Kansas City, Missouri, Beery's transition from silent films to talkies, starring in Min and Bill, earned him an Oscar. Yet, darker rumors shadowed him. A 1938 incident discussed in Reddit threads and Hollywood Babylon linked Beery to a fatal brawl involving comedian Ted Healy, though evidence remains speculative. His abusive treatment of co-stars, including child actor Jackie Cooper, was detailed in Cooper's memoir, Please Don't Shoot My Dog, describing Beery's harsh demeanor during The Champ. An Oscar tantrum, after losing further, cemented his bully reputation. Beery's warmth on screen masked a volatile nature, his legacy tainted by cruelty. Reflecting on his story, one sees a man whose talent captivated, but whose actions repelled. Was his brutality a reflection of a rougher Hollywood, or a personal failing? His life, a grim tale of charm and menace, asks if fame can obscure monstrosity, leaving us to ponder the shadows behind the silver screen's glow. We've traversed the shadowed alleys of Hollywood's golden age, unmasking 20 figures whose scandals rivaled their stardom. From William Frolley's Venom to Tom Neal's tragic fall, their stories reveal a Tinseltown where brilliance danced with brutality. What do we make of these icons? Does their art absolve their arrogance, or must we demand accountability? Their legacies, etched in celluloid, challenge us to reflect on fame's price. Subscribe for more Hollywood secrets, and share your pick for the biggest a-hole in the comments. Thank you for watching.